Appoggiatura. Benjamin Garbaggio here with Bathroom Violin Tutor. This is session 2. Today we will be talking about beginner pizzicato and getting kind of used to the strings on the violin. So we're going to function out from the exact same violin position or violin hold that you would have learned from last time, from the last session. And this time, however, we're not going to pay too much attention for the left hand. We'll give him a little bit of a break. The left hand will be mainly just holding the violin in place, while the right hand, or the bowing hand, will be doing most of the work. So we're going to make sure that we're and have the proper posture and positioning and everything. So first and foremost, let's get acquainted with the different string names of the strings and the tones of the violin. So the violin is tuned in fifths. There's 4 strings and they're all tuned a fifth apart. So the first string is a G. The second string is a D. The third string, if you want to take some time to count, exactly, is an A. And the very last string is a high E. Now, if you have any trouble with figuring out kind of where they're notated in proper musical notation, there will be many different playing examples listed in the description that you can go to and download at your own will. So with pizzicato, what you're going to do is, again, get the violin comfortable right between the jaw. Make sure your shoulders are down, neck is up, the head isn't too curved, just the collarbone and the jawbone at work. Then what you're going to want to do is take your thumb and put it right against the very, very end of the fingerboard, so that the thumb is kind of being stabbed by the edge of the fingerboard. But obviously don't, do that too hard. Just kind of have it resting there so that all of these fingers are usable, and then your thumb is applying some pressure towards the fingerboard. Then you're going to curve your finger, and for now we're going to be focusing on pizzicato with just the pointer or index finger. So when you're doing pizzicato, you're going to want to make your shoulder move in conjunction with the arm. So essentially you never really want to have your wrist bent and your shoulder doing something that isn't in tandem or the context of you playing the strings. This will later, this shoulder movement in conjunction with the hand movement, will later help in using the bow, as it's very important how the shoulder interacts with the actual bow. So right off the bat, when we're hitting that first string, the low G, or the only G, what we want to make sure to do is have our shoulder higher than usual, or higher than resting position. So the shoulder is going to be up a bit more, not dramatically, but making sure that the wrist is straight. And we're just going to pluck around this area of the fingerboard, not too, high up or low, and not where the bow would go. So not in between the bridge and the fingerboard, kind of just around here where the fingerboard ends, or just before where the fingerboard ends. And so what we're going to do is take our pointer finger, bend or raise our elbow, make sure the violin is in a comfortable position, have the thumb at the end of the fingerboard, and then just pluck with the very, very tip or the pad of your finger. And you can do that many times until you're getting a consistent and resonant tone. Make sure you're kind of pulling up, not necessarily across, kind of pulling up. So then when you move to the next string, say the D, you're going to move your shoulder down. So from here to here, say let's go to the A, we're feeling adventurous, and then the E. Now we can try to go from the E to the D. So see how much movement there is between hitting the first string and the last string. So when you're doing that with beginner players, you can initially show them and tell them to play the different strings. Once again, you can acquaint them with the notation of the open strings through the pieces that I have written, the simple pieces that I have written down below. When the students or you are becoming successful with or you're comfortable with the tonality of each string in context with what the strings are or how to notate them, you can start to create your own melodies. Or your students can create their own melodies and kind of showcase them to each other or present them to each other. With just pizzing, the first 4 strings. A fun game you can later play with your students is kind of like a follow the leader thing, where they get into 2 pairs and you ascribe one pair as the leader and the other the follower. They'll change so not to create conflict. And you can have one person kind of play, say, start with an A, and then they go to D or G, and then D, and then A, E, D, G, E, A. And the other partner will follow that person. That's the